Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Happy AF. I am Maxine, and I'm happy alcohol-free.
And I am Isabelle, and I'm happy as fuck.
We are so happy to be back sharing more stories with you today. We're here to entertain you, and I think so far so good. We've been
entertain me, so
well,
I know
and
that's
you
working.
entertain me,
and I entertain you,
so
and you entertain me. So at least it's working on this
it's
level.
Working here. It's working here.
It's working here.
And as always, want to start with liquid joy, but today I want to talk about this amazing company who you had told me about earlier on. Anyway, they discovered our podcast and they sent us some stuff. So if you're watching, you can see this lovely box. It's called Raising the Bar Zero Proof Cocktail Kits.
And there are the ones.
Amazing.
Yes. When I discovered them on Instagram in the early on when I quit drinking, and they are responsible for making me go through the first 3 months in a smooth fashion.
Oh,
because they gave me something to look forward to and to make, and it was like, it really was a great support for me.
Well, I realize I'm making life for our audio engineer / my husband really hard with all my moving around here. But let's open the box because I want to tell everybody about this because first of all, these folks are amazing. And this is Abby, who is the co-founder and CEO. So look, you get this box and it's literally a box full of things for you to make delicious drinks with.
And all the recipes are in there, well detailed.
Are inside. And then this box is called the Shrub Club. So it's got all of these different things to make a delicious mocktail with.
So if we started by so I already looked at the mocktails. So we're drinking straight up some of the cans they sent. I think on this particular one, they have a theme. And the theme on this one is going to be limey things and gingery things.
Yes, well, it's called the Shrub Club.
Right. So they have 3 mocktails. Like this one has ginger mule, and it comes with some ginger lime syrups. They have also the little candied ginger to make the garnish.
Right in there for your garnish.
They guide you through the garnish.
But look at this grapefruit tonic.
I've discovered, because of the Raising the Bar, not only did I discover mocktail, but I still to this day buy specific herb teas, companies that I've discovered because of them.
There's a tea bag in here too.
I've discovered, and the herb tea that
Sunset Chamomile.
And I've discovered syrups because of them. So and one of their thing is they branch out to small batch manufacturers.
Yes. And
organic.
May I just give a shout out to women-owned businesses?
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's very much a part of this. You know, I said to my amazing mother-in-law the other day, who is, when I come back from being in New York, having spent a couple of days with her, my feminism radiates like from every pore of my being, because I just get to talk to her, and she shattered so many glass ceilings throughout her life in business, and we were just talking about something, and I came back and I was just like, I was just feeling so empowered. But I said to her about there's so many women are fueling this
they really
zero proof movement.
Oh God, yes.
And she said, "Women fuel everything."
She's a little bit right.
And I'm like,
she's a little bit right.
So yes. So shout out to Ali, who's the co-founder and CEO. Abby, co-founder and CEO of Raising the Bar, and all of these amazing things. They're just so well curated.
Super well curated.
This is ginger lemon non-alcoholic drink mixer. You know, the other thing that we loved and we really understood better when we did the tasting at the Dorset Union store. Yeah,
that's right. That was so much fun.
Mixing the non-alcoholic alternatives to gin and tequila with these non-alcoholic mixers. It adds a level of depth and a level of complexity that you're not really getting in some of the pre-mixed things.
Oh, I could not agree more. And a lot of these non-alcoholic tequila and gin and whatever, they add capsaicin, so you get that burn,
so you get a little bit of the
burn.
And look at these. These are hay straws, natural drinking straws.
Oh, they always have the best little kits, let me tell you.
I mean, this is, so for those of you who are like, ooh, I would like to have a little exploration into making different cocktails myself. And then inside this box also came 2 cans. This one is called Hella Hella Refreshers. So Hella Refreshers, naturally sweetened yuzu sparkling beverage. So I'm drinking that. And what are you drinking?
I'm drinking the Ginger Mule.
Oh, see, I love the Recess brand.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, so this is Recess Zero Proof Ginger Lime Mule, and again, these two cans are also part of a mocktail, or you can drink them straight up.
Right, and you can add them to things.
Yes.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. I love
Here's
it.
to more
Yes.
discovering so many of these different alternatives. When people ask me the question often, and I know you get asked this too, is what are some of the things that have made quitting drink alcohol easier? And it's 100% a massive factor in my success is the alternatives that are available on the market.
For me, there's no doubt. For me, there's no doubt because the ritual.
I would have had this joy and this ease of transition without all of these things.
Not for me because I'm a animal of habit, of rituals. Like cigarette smoking was part of that, and then you get addicted to the nicotine. Wine drinking was part of that. Then I got addicted to the alcohol, so that I could replace it with something that doesn't have the addictive. And it's funny because that kind of loops into the we were going to talk about travels and stuff. And if I can talk about my NA experience in Kentucky, that I realized that I was not addicted to NA wine.
Yes. Well, so you mentioned that.
Since we're talking about that, so I was traveling all over down south and I was in Kentucky. And so far, everywhere I've been, I'll call a liquor store because I'm quote unquote addicted to non-alcoholic wine, or so I thought, right? Like it's part of my ritual and I'm a very bullish, stubborn person. So I'm like, I'm going to get it. Nobody's going to stop me. So I've been pretty much all over the country. And every time, by the time I get off the plane, I've located a liquor store. I ask them what they got. And if I don't like the brands, I call another one and I get what I like eventually. So in Kentucky, after a long day, which I won't bore you with, I called 3 or 4 liquor stores and every single one of them didn't have any wine except one. And she was really helpful, but she gave me the brand and I won't name it. And it's kind of like when you were drinking alcohol, like you wouldn't drink grocery store wine. Okay, it was the equivalent of grocery store wine.
Yes.
So
remember about the Chateau Diane or Chateau?
So it was like a non-alcoholic Chateau Diane.
Yes.
There's no bloody way I was going to drink that.
Right, you're like, no,
so,
thank you.
And then the 4th one, and they're so nice in Kentucky. The people in Kentucky are so lovely. So again, I'm like, do you have non-alcoholic wine? And the person's like, So he probably thought, shit, she doesn't want real wine. He's like, no, I don't have non-alcoholic wine, but we do have bourbon. And like he was trying to be helpful. He was not trying to be funny. And I was like, oh God. He's like, what do you think? And I'm like, well, that's what I was on the market for, but thank you. But the point is, I went to the bar. I like to have dinners at bars. And I was at a bar. I had to have just seltzer.
Right.
And I had a burger. And I went to bed, and I chatted with the bartender probably for an hour or so after I was done eating. And the reason I'm saying that is when I was on the sauce, if I did not, for some reason, I could not have found liquor, I would have shoved my burger in my face and I would have ran to my bedroom and wait for that day to
not be
finished.
In an alcohol environment without.
No, but when I was drinking, let's say I could not have had alcohol, I would have been so upset and uncomfortable, I would have wanted to go to bed right away. And now, the next day when I woke up, I realized, shit, I didn't have non-alcoholic wine yesterday. And I was bummed out about it for maybe 10 seconds.
Yes.
And I didn't think, so the conclusion is, I'm not addicted to NA wine.
No.
Is it a ritual that is very important to me? Absolutely.
Yes. And here's what we are hoping through more people having conversations about it, more people talking about it on podcasts, is that those rituals, we want to retain a lot of it, but it's not always available to us.
It has to be more accessible.
And it needs to be more accessible. So when we have more time or we're cloned, one of the other things I want to do is I want to be able to highlight the places that do it well.
Can I? Yes, please do.
We need to do it. So I have too been all over the place.
Tell me.
And I have had everything from menus as big as cocktail menus, but zero proof.
Right.
And I've had people say, well, we have juice. And, it's like, so the more we talk about it, and speaking of women who are movers and shakers, two incredible women, Hannah and Holly, Hannah Delaney, who is one of the leaders of Boisson.
Oh, I know Boisson. They
Right?
used to have a store on Court Street in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now they are exclusively online.
Yeah.
And it is the one-stop shop for
Oh, I bought a ton of stuff there.
online
Yes.
for a zero proof everything. But I was at an event at the Maze, which I have told you about, which is this first and only, as of now, alcohol-free members club in New York City. And I did a performance there as part of the whole St. Patrick's Day celebration. And it was amazing. Celebrating St. Patrick's Day in a non-alcoholic environment was
mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing and so refreshing. So completely sold out. The frickin' room was to capacity.
Was it mainly women or half and half?
I would say it was half and half.
Oh my God.
I would say,
okay.
No, maybe not half and half. Maybe 60, 40.
Still,
but pretty close.
I'm glad that it was a lot of men.
But there were a lot of women who are fueling this zero proof movement. And I met another amazing woman, Wesley, who's the founder of Society della Rossi, which is another.
I just bought that bottle. I
Isn't
said
that
I'm
so
saving
good?
it for you. That's a bottle.
Okay,
I sent you
so
a picture.
we're gonna do a liquid joy segment of
I have
that
their
maybe on the next one.
sparkling rosé.
But here's what these women were saying to me,
What were
and
they
here's
saying?
what I want to ask all of our listeners to do when you are in a bar or you are in a restaurant. Even if you don't see it on the menu, ask for it.
Yes.
Ask if you have a good relationship with that restaurant to carry it. We just had an example of this in our town with one of our amazing local restaurants called the Silver Fork. And Melody, who's one of the owners of that, she was one of our friends was in there who's a new alcohol-free liver and lifer. And she went in and said, I wish she would carry non-alcoholic wines. And the owner was like, well, we will. And they're going to do that.
Right.
So here's the message from the people who are making the non-alcoholic beverages and selling them is when you are out and about, ask.
Or you know what I do? I bring my own and I'm like, I'll pay the corkage fee. And oftentimes I'll say no, or they'll charge me a little something, but they realize the loss of revenue because I'm bringing my own. I bring my own every time. You know that I'm so stubborn about it.
But some places don't, and some people aren't going with their own.
No, but but like you're right. If you're not that's what I'm saying. Or bring your own.
Or bring your own.
But bring it up.
But
bring
these women were saying from a business perspective, their biggest help in continuing this movement is having people talk about it in the hospitality space.
But that's what I mean. If you bring your own to the restaurant, you're shining a light to the fact that they're not having it on the menu. That's why every time I'm like, do you have it on the menu? They're like, no. I'm like, well, then I brought my own. But like, you know, like to shine a light on this. And it's funny you mentioned that because that loops in to women and how many more people are not drinking and wish it. So yesterday on my return home, late at like 7:30ish or so, I had dinner, and at the airport in Detroit, I like to go at Vino Volo, which is
I love Vino Volo
because their food's pretty good. And obviously it's a wine bar.
Do they have non-alcoholic wine?
Check this out. So I'm like, okay, Vino Volo. I did not expect they would. It's a wine bar.
Yes.
But their food's good. I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and have seltzer. I opened the bloody fucking menu. Oh well, my God. I see 2 non-alcoholic wine, a red and a white.
Amazing.
Okay, I almost had a baby right there.
Shout out to Vino Volo.
Oh, big shout out.
Yeah.
Then it goes further. So I sit down, the place is packed. On my one side, there's a man there who's, you know, you can tell like shoving as much alcohol as he can before he gets his flight. And I could tell that he wanted to engage. Now, because it was me, he would have engaged with a monkey. Like, you know, when they get and they just want to talk. Yeah. And they drinking and they want to talk. And I was not interested. I talk for a living, so I was not interested. And there's 2 gorgeous Black ladies. I don't know where they were from. They spoke English. One there and one there. They don't know each other, right? And we're all minding on this beeswax. So when I ordered a non-alcoholic wine, this guy's literally like, we're on top of each other. I don't want to draw attention because I'm like, that's going to be his end, right?
Yes.
He's going to be like, oh, no alcoholic wine, like, right? And I'm like, oh, shit, I don't want to. So I'm pointing to the menu, to the guy. I'm like, I have that. So the guy comes back and he had not invented the battery. Nice waiter. That means not very smart. Didn't
Oh, I've
invent the
never
wheel.
heard that
No, he hasn't invented
before.
the battery, or we say in French, he hasn't invented buttons with 4 holes in it, right? So comes back, he's like, we're out
Well,
of
that rolls off the tongue,
he's
doesn't
like,
it?
we're out of the Ginzin non-alcoholic Sauvignon Blanc. I'm like, there
Oh,
we go.
God.
Fuck. I was like, well, I wanted the red anyways. Like, oh, we have the Ginzin non-alcoholic, like red blend. I was like, that's great. Like, he's announcing it. I don't care. The world can know, but I don't want this guy to start talking to me.
Yes.
And just when he sees his hook, he's about to engage. I'm like, oh. One of the women, the one far away, she's like, oh, excuse me, wait, don't go with that bottle. What is this? And calls it over. And I look at her. I was like, it's not alcoholic. Because I was like, she's going to be like, oh, you. She's like, yeah, no, that's why I want to see it. I was like, are you kidding? You're interested? It's like, yeah. We start talking. Like, now we're talking over that poor woman who turns out she's Jamaican, but from the United States, right? Gorgeous. They're so beautiful, these two women. Anyway, just because I look like a rag yesterday in my jeans and stuff. But so she's like, wait, you sound like you know your non-alcoholic wine. She's from California. She starts asking me all these brands, and she's like writing them down. And I feel bad because I'm talking over this poor woman next to me, like kind of, right?
Yeah.
And I kept touching her and saying, I'm so sorry, I'm talking over you. She's like, oh no, I'm just taking notes. So she's taking notes of all the wine. So next thing we know, we all have a full-blown, and I don't think they were teetotalers,
right?
But they were dabbling and not drinking
what we
so
call
much,
sober curious, right?
So for the next half hour, correct. For the next half hour with 2 complete strangers who also did not know each other, women, they were obviously business women, the way they were dressed, and the way the things they were saying, they're obviously business people, right?
Yes.
Super interesting in the non-alcoholic beverage and wanting to know more about, brands and where they were made. And they were asking all these questions. It was amazing. So then this poor guy, you could tell he wanted to get in and we were not letting him in. So my salad comes in and he's like, well, that looks fresh. He's like,
oh, he
just talks so hard. It's fucking. But my point, I was like, so when I stopped drinking, I thought I was alone on my island.
Yeah.
And now that, like, when you step out in the world and you're like, fuck it, I own this, all these people are like coming out of the woodwork wanting to drink non-alcoholic beverages.
I mean, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but we're not that special.
Oh, hell no. We just have a lot. We just
there are so many people. And, that was, for me, the fuel behind this podcast was there are a lot of people who are having these experiences right now,
but they're more quiet than we are,
and they're a little more quiet about it, and giving, I have a number of friends who have said to me, I'm so glad I don't have the voice. I don't have the ability to speak out about things like this, but you do, and it's so helpful and it's so inspiring. And actually, we hope we're making you laugh while we're doing it. But it is so true. And having met all of these different women in the business of alcohol-free space, it is, and again, when we get to having guests in the second half of the season, I'm really looking forward to shining a light on the difficulty of the business and the rules and regulations around it. And it's not easy for them to break into a lot of places, but it is happening. And then there is just some really, really big voids where I'm like, how is alcohol-free options not available? Great to hear about Vino Volo because airports for me, and I know airports for a lot of people are triggers.
Yes.
Because why did this happen? Why do we live in a world where when you walk into an airport, it's time to drink?
I think it's because if my opinion is because A, you're bored, right? You're waiting for your flight. And B, it's like there's no time at an airport. Like time is finally shut down, right? It can be any time of the day.
That's true.
Right? So
which will explain why when you walk by a bar and someone's having a dirty martini and it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
I've done that
the actual
in Italy. Yes. Oh, I've done that in Italy. I've had wine at 9 in the morning because I remember we were flying back to the States, to New York, and there was a wine bar, and I was like, fuck that, I'm on vacation. Plus, at home, it's at home, it's 2 o'clock. I'm drinking already, right?
Yeah.
And I I think that's the airport mentality.
Yes.
And they're also a way, oftentimes, especially business travelers. So if you're traveling for fun, you're on vacation. So that's your excuse. If you're a business traveler, well, you're tired and you're away from your family's eyes, right? Like there's no eyes on you. You can just like, and what I've noticed,
there's lots of different explanations.
and what I've noticed in airports, and that's what I told Brooks, and I had noticed that when I was on the sauce too, by the way, is you'll see the kind of drinker at airport more than in normal bars that chug it.
Yes.
Like they're chugging it. Like I'm trying to put as much as I can.
Like the lady that I was telling you about a couple of episodes ago.
Airplane.
I mean, she was doing 2 tequilas at a time.
But they wouldn't do that in a normal bar.
Probably not.
No, they would drink one and then drink another one. So I don't know if it's like the spatial time relation it's weird, but people get wasted.
People get so wasted. And here's the other thing that you just made me think about is it's that mindset, right? When you think whatever reason you're in an airport, but most of the time people are traveling in an airport because they're going on vacation, and there is the correlation. You're like, fuck it, I'm on vacation, I'm gonna drink, and it's breaking that thought connection, right? The two things are intrinsically linked in our minds because of how society has branded vacation as being this thing where you let your hair down and you relax. Meanwhile, yes, we've discussed many times that alcohol can take the edge off you and it can make you feel a little relaxed for a few seconds. But what it steals from you for the rest of the vacation is crazy. And for me, the big void that I still see, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I have not seen, and I have traveled on every single airline available. I have not seen one airline yet offering non-alcoholic wine.
So annoying.
Not one.
So annoying.
What's
they should
up,
follow.
JetBlue, Delta,
they
United,
should follow.
all of you.
And by the way, and then they complain. They're like, "Don't bring your own alcohol," because they're complaining all these people getting wasted on the flight. Right? They could slip that. They could cut them off and give them a fucking non-alcoholic wine beverage. And like, you know what I'm saying? So, and I remember.
So when you were giving me a hard time about drinking Diet Coke, like that's my option on an airline.
Which sucks.
You know, there isn't an option. I mean, I don't want to drink orange juice, and I don't want. I want to have a beverage.
I agree.
And that's the only option to you.
And especially like I associate drinking wine so much with winding down, like, and drinking non-alcoholic wine, because I really, for a daily drinker like I was, that Annie Grace did a good job explaining, because I could feel it in my body how it did stress my body out. Right? I would be calmer for 10 minutes, and after that, if I didn't keep drinking, you could resonate. Like, right? So I understand that so much that I'm like, ugh. But like the action of drinking non-alcoholic wine, that ritual is really linked with a whole day of work. And you're like, oh, yeah. And you're right. On a plane, I'm like, fuck, man, I've busted my ass all day. And if I could have like a nice little something, like besides a bloody fucking seltzer.
So again, to all of our listeners, same thing as when you're in restaurants.
And by the way, all these women,
to the airlines, say to the flight attendant, do you have non-alcoholic, zero proof options? And that's the other thing. When you say non-alcoholic to people, they're like,
they're like juice.
We've got apple juice. I'm like,
Diet Coke.
No, do I look like a 5-year-old kid? I would like a zero proof cocktail.
Correct.
While I'm thinking of it, I really do have a funny airline story that is not, I mean, I guess it's not alcohol related, but on the last episode, we were talking about religion, right? And you were talking about the Hasidic Jewish community
that we're hiding
in Canada. And I have this funny story. So when I was a lawyer there for a period of time, and many years ago now, and I used to fly back and forth from London, I mean, probably every month. Like it was a really exhausting transatlantic schedule. And almost all of the time, they would fly me business class.
Of course.
So, it was great. And I mean, here, everything can be fucking connected to alcohol. I used to, being in business class, the alcohol's free,
Oh,
right?
and it's great. And they give it to you in real
you get
glasses.
in a real glass and everything. So when
Yes.
I would fly back and forth for business, I was drinking. Meanwhile, it was this media firm that I worked for, and I was in their council, and the CEO, who is amazing, an amazing man, and he used to say, you know, I would say to him, how come you're so fresh when you get to New York, or you're
Right.
so fresh when you get to London? And he said to me, I remember thinking, well, that's weird. He was like, oh, because I never drink on the flight.
So smart.
So smart. He was like, I don't eat or drink on the flight. I eat before I get on the plane, and I don't drink on the plane. So he's not, but he also wasn't of the socioeconomic bracket where he's excited about the free booze and food.
Right.
He's like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
a
yeah.
CEO.
Yeah,
So he's like,
right.
I eat my dinner and I get on the plane and I go to sleep. And
The
that's how I
drinking,
arrive ready to go.
As much as I used to joke that my favorite sport in the world, besides going to the hairdresser,
Yes.
was drinking on a plane. That's my favorite sport. It was my favorite sport.
And you also get super drunk super fast
but
because
the thing
of the
is, like,
dehydration.
yeah, but the thing is that feeling, and I was thinking about that yesterday because I had to land at like 11 o'clock at night. And although I was sleepy, I didn't feel gross.
Yes.
And I remember, like, when I traveled, like that bloatedness you feel from having, you know, because that's
well,
how
and
it
you're
works.
blaying the flight, but it's the flight alcohol combo.
And I would have, you know, a drink on the first segment of the flight, a drink in the Delta Lounge, a drink in the other. So I wasn't wasted because but I was drinking the whole way. And it almost accumulates in your tissue.
No, listen, I always say, if you look
and by the way, people smell. Now I smell them on the plane.
If you look at a bottle of water that you bring on, like look at what the bottle of water looks like, or a bag of chips, what it looks like afterwards, everything is sucked out of it.
Yes.
So if you're adding alcohol in on top of that. Anyway, my funny airline story is one of these trips I had to go back early or late or something. Anyway, there wasn't a business class seat.
Okay.
And they said, so sorry, but we need you back and you've got to just fly coach. And
that's hard when you're used to business.
When you're used to business, it was so fucking hard.
I can
and I was like, and I was a spoiled brat. I was in my 20s.
No, but it's hard. You get used to it.
No,
you
it's
get
in my
used
30s.
to
It was
it.
like, yes. And it was early 30s. And I was so used to it. I was so used to all the luxury that comes with business class flying. Anyway, this time I'm in coach, and I get back, and so I'm sitting in a line of a family, and look, I get back to New York, and one of my friends says to me, how was your flight?
Right.
And I said, it sucked. It sucked ass. Because first of all, I got downgraded to coach because I had to fly on a different
middle
flight.
seat.
And I was not on a middle seat, but I was in the middle of the airplane.
Oh,
and I said, and I was sat next to an entire family of Amish people.
What?
My New York friend, first of all, was like,
they're allowed to fly?
No, they're not.
I was like, they're so modern.
I want to go back to my massive gap in my education of other cultures.
Were they Orthodox Jews?
Yes.
I was like, Irish people are not allowed to take the plane.
Here's how my friend gets to the bottom of this
hysterical.
Conundrum. She was like,
how
I'm
did they
sorry,
dress?
Maxine. They were what? The Amish people? And I was like, it was an entire Amish family. And I said, let me tell you, they're sitting there and they've got, you know, their long curly hair, and they're shaking on the seat in front of me, back of her. And she was like, okay, so those are Hasidic
You mean
Jews.
acidic Jews?
And I'm like,
wrong sect, baby.
Well, anyway, I couldn't sleep because of all that. She's like, Amish people don't even use fucking hair dryers.
No, they can't.
Like,
they can't even use a
literally,
car.
They don't even use.
They can't even go to the airport.
They were not transatlantic flying from London, New York.
That's
but
hysterical.
I thought that was so funny. And
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, ridiculous. But again, big gaps in my education. The nuns didn't tell us about anything.
They
didn't
don't.
tell us about
Oh my
the
God,
Jews.
they keep us
They
so
didn't tell us about the
stupid.
Amish people. They didn't tell us about anything. But back to the travel thing, because actually, when this episode airs, it's spring break.
Right.
And I will be on spring break.
That's right.
Which, by the way, that's another one of those American things that we don't have that term. First of all, I don't even think we had spring break. We have Easter break, right?
Okay.
You get that week off for Easter
in
Ireland, and then you have summer holiday, summer vacation. So spring break. I mean, the mind blowing thing for me when I learned about traditional college spring break here, and seeing videos of what happens on spring
It's
break.
embarrassing.
I mean,
Ew.
and what is that
I
fueled
mean,
by?
I thought it
That
was
is
embarrassing when I was
fueled by
that age.
alcohol.
Yeah. So I will say, I don't know now, but when I grew up and when I was in college years or university, it was like late 80s, early 90s.
Yes.
And the French Canadian culture was, so we would look at English Canadians and say, like, look at them, they can't hold the liquor. It was that spring
They
break.
can or they can't?
Cannot. They go
Cannot,
like
okay.
crazy and they go like
Yeah.
sloppy.
Yes.
And we would pride ourselves of being big drinker, but I kept it together, right? So
Yep.
we would look at the spring break culture and be like amateur.
Yes.
Right. So I always thought that was like yuck.
Yeah.
Now listen, we got wasted and we smoked pot and did all that, but we kept it together a little bit.
Yeah.
Like we weren't
I mean,
burning
some
our
of those,
bras. You know what I
some
mean?
of those videos that I don't see these things anymore, but I remember like going, okay, I need to understand spring break. And then, I mean, I think at one point I watched a documentary about spring break. And
you're like, what?
And but it's rife with obviously alcohol, but sexual assault and all of the things that go wrong and accidents and deaths. And it's because you're going to vacation and therefore you're going to drink and get drunk.
Right.
It's the correlation that
if you don't, you're missing out.
If you don't, and also the idea of, for me, and this is now coming into, I'm going on my second spring break with my family.
Right.
Alcohol free. And the first time I did our spring break vacation. So we go to Turks and Caicos every year. And it is my favorite. It's all of ours, the four of us, Andrew, me, and the kids. It's our favorite 9 days of the year.
I can imagine.
Because it is completely, there's no, I'm not making decisions.
Right.
The only decisions I make are which of the restaurants in the resort we're going to dinner. And there's nobody else to entertain. I mean, to the point that some of my friends have been really offended because they're like, you go to the same place every year. And I'm like, yes. And one year, one of my friends was like, well, we should come too.
And you're like, no.
And I'm like, yeah, no, I am so sorry. This is just the period of time
That's it.
that Andrew and I and the kids get alone together.
Right.
And it is, and we're not like sitting around together
No,
the
but
whole
you
time,
don't want to
but
entertain
we're
other
not thinking
people.
about other things.
Right.
And we go to an all-inclusive resort.
Right.
And the idea of all-inclusive is
no decisions.
But it's also drink as much as you want.
Oh, on that front, right.
And that's why a lot of people are motivated.
Hey, I just thought of something.
Yes.
You should call, oh my God, Brooks would so do that. Like he's good at that. You should do that. You call the GM of the place.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm paying for all inclusive, but I don't drink. Here's a few brands of non-alcoholic wine that I like or whatever you like.
Oh, I'm doing
Please
it. I'm doing it.
So many bottles a day on the side for me. There's no shame. You're paying for that bloody service.
Yes.
And you're not using it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Give them the
Can
heads
I tell
up.
you, it's so true, because when you check in, you fill out a sheet that says which kind of wines you want, which kind of vodka you want.
I would call them
Do it in
tomorrow
advance.
so they have time to gather. And you even like if you need to know where to source it, I'll send you websites.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So they should have that shit
That
ready
is a
for
really,
you.
really
And you
great
know what?
idea.
What you might start is they might be like, maybe we
need
should
to have this
stock
option
some.
available.
Yes.
And listen, it's a lot cheaper, I guess this way they're getting the money and they're not serving me. So,
right, but that's not fair.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
And I would say like, because we have other options of resorts where they had offered that, so I'm asking you to do it.
Yeah,
that's what I would say, and I wouldn't sit on it.
No,
Give
that's
them
a good
enough
idea.
time to turn around.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And but as I started thinking about travel, vacation, and its close association with alcohol, for me, and that was a trigger moment for me.
I can imagine.
When I arrived at the resort for the first time, and we've been going, Andrew and I have gone to Turks and Caicos since 2008.
Right.
Like we've been going for a really, really long time. It is our paradise and we love it. And it's the one period of the year where we really get to switch off and be together. And I remember last year, the first time I went there, when you arrive at this resort, they give you a drink. Like it's literally on a tray. Welcome. They say welcome home because we're constantly, return to the same place every year. And they give you a cocktail but they give the children non-alcoholic versions of it. So I got that, but I had to prepare myself and you and I have spoken with a number of our alcohol-free friends who are new on the journey. There are moments where it's a little bit scary.
Yes.
You know you're going to be uncomfortable. That was one for me because I did go there, and part of me being able to switch off was me going, and I'm going to drink every day. And I'm not going to. And now it's a family vacation. So I wasn't out partying.
No, it doesn't matter. But you were used to your cocktail.
I was used to it. And the guy comes to you on the beach at 11 o'clock with a cocktail if you want it. And I would never say no. And now going back for the second time, I always reference how you get to do everything for the first time in your first year of sobriety, in your first year on the journey. And that was my first spring break. And I had psyched myself up for it to be harder than it was.
Right.
Once I was there and I didn't have other alcohol-free options.
But imagine how much more comfortable you would be.
Yeah, but what they do have is they're all about cocktails,
right?
With fresh juices,
but that doesn't do it for me.
But it doesn't do it for you. But I'm happy to drink a variety of those things, just without the booze in it, which they make lots of because it's a family resort.
Right.
But the thing that I realized that I gained when you're thinking about going on holiday and the joy of drinking that you have associated with vacation and holidaying for so long is the fear of I'm not going to have fun or I'm missing out. And what
it's
I
a real
experienced
fear.
It is.
And it's not because you're gonna start drinking again, and it doesn't mean that it's like you've had made those associations for a really long time in your brains, and they're physical neurotransmitters. Those pathways are there, and it's hard. It's like you put the best word. It's uncomfortable.
Yes, it's uncomfortable, and you have to. This is a question we get asked all the time on social media and on the podcast website. Is what do you do instead? And like, what are the tips? This is a brilliant one that you've just given me.
Right. And sorry to interrupt you. And because I've said before, I'm a neediness, right? I don't like pain.
Yes.
And so you put it that's the best word. You said it's uncomfortable. That's exactly what it is, right? So for me, travel, when I think, I'm going to go to Paris, I'm going to go to Denmark. Even now, and I don't want to drink. But when I think of that travel, there's a little ouch in my heart that I'm not going to be drinking. Yeah. And the way that I've made this discomfort go away is you remember last year in Spain and in France, I brought 7 bottles of non-alcoholic wine in my bag. I had to pay a little weight extra. And my mother was like, you're crazy, but you're right, because it took away the discomfort.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But you still
and it's a practical support system for you.
Right.
And for me, some of the other things that I have gained since quitting alcohol is I am a creature of habit.
Same.
Like, if you mess with my fucking routine, if you mess with my sleep, if you mess with the irony of me saying that out loud when all I did
was
myself was fuck my routine up all the time by drinking and being hungover and being tired. It's like, these were the things that were making me mad at myself and making me unhappy. So now I look back and go, nothing.
Why did I
no
do
one
this?
is messing with my routine. And so now this last year, my first alcohol-free spring break, I developed these new routines, these new rituals of walking on the beach at sunrise.
So funny you'd say that.
I would get up super early, go out on the beach, and bit of a workaholic. So I always do some kind of work.
Yeah, but you like it.
Because my creativity, I don't turn it off, right? And I'm always thinking about the next project and da-da-da. But then we would all have breakfast together. The 4 of us have breakfast together. We would all get up at different times. And I mean, we're having breakfast together at 8 o'clock.
Right.
And then Andrew and I had a new routine of we played tennis together every morning while the kids went off and met their friends or went on a boat ride or whatever it was. And so all of those things for me now, those were the things that I was looking forward to.
That's a really good point, because it ties in, and it's very good what you're saying. Because I remember originally when I quit drinking, it frees up a lot of time.
Yes.
And that scared me. I was like,
Yes.
what am I going to do? And you're right. Before I knew it, this time was being filled with really cool stuff. I couldn't even name it. I don't even know what I'm filling it with, but I don't know. Now I have time to do all kinds of stuff. But at first,
I'm sorry, we found time to start a podcast.
right. But at first, you're right. Like that freeing of the time was actually something that added to the anxiety of quitting drinking, because it's a little daunting at first.
There's two sides to the coin.
At the beginning, you're like, whoa, what am I going to do now? Right? I'm not going to be sluggish. I'm not like, like it would take you like, or I would plan ahead my drinking. Like, let's say you're like, oh, Thursday, I have a dinner at so-and-so, and it's going to be like pretty boozy. Well, Friday, you're not going to have an 8 o'clock, like fuck the gym. You're not going to have an 8 o'clock call. I would have been up, but I'm saying like, you're not going to be your best self, right?
No.
So, and at first there was that real fear of like, okay, so what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And it fills up. And that's not a problem. But it is something to let people know that are starting on that journey, that it's a real fear when you find yourself with all this time on your hand.
It is. And here's another thing. So I had a meeting with, it was a business meeting in New York a couple of weeks ago. And the woman that I was meeting, she turned up to the meeting, and I know her really well. And she was like, ugh, I feel rough. And I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I haven't been drinking a lot. And she works in the theater and the theater industry. And she's like, we ended up going to a showcase last night, and then there was a party afterwards. And she said, I'm not used to this anymore. But like, she was like, I was out till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Ouch.
And our meeting was at lunchtime. So like,
Still.
she had the whole day, but she had just come from a workout, and she was like, I made myself go. And she was like, it sucked so bad. And she was like, I couldn't lift the weight. I couldn't even think about doing cardio. But she's like, I made myself go, and I forced myself go.
Right.
And I said to her, these are the conversations that lead to you deciding to pull the plug.
Right.
I'm just saying, I don't want to fucking
and
do this anymore.
Another thing too, and I'm not proud to say it, but I'll come out and say it, right? So, and I'm sure people are going to judge me because I'm skinny and stuff, but it doesn't matter. Like I always was, like, not anymore, but when I was drinking, I would watch calories, because I was like, I don't want to gain weight because I drank on top of food. So what would I do? If I drank too much, and I would restrict what I eat to even it out.
Yeah.
And then you're not super healthy. And by the way, I would always balloon up and down. Not a lot. I'm small, but like 5 less. 5 more.
Yeah.
And what I found in the last year and a half, talking of like freeing time and freeing habits, is all of a sudden my concern is to make sure I eat enough.
Yes.
Right? I'm like, oh, I didn't eat enough. Like I need to eat more. Make sure that I need enough protein. Make sure. And now I'm like, if I gain weight, I don't care, because I'm like, that's because I gain muscle, or because I need, like, it's so interesting.
Well, because of this, and no
it's
one
a
is
completely different.
And I say this to women all of the time. I say it to myself, because you and I have this in common too. We had, this real issue with body dysmorphia, of looking at yourself in the mirror and going, I'm fat, or I'm ugly, or I'm freckly, and hating yourself, and that self-loathing, which I have completely. And again, I'm not saying this is just because I quit drinking.
It did not hurt.
But it did not hurt. I mean, as I say, my 50s don't give a fuck.
Right.
Life, the mindset that I live on.
We turned 50. We got into our 50s not overnight. Whereas we quit drinking overnight, and that improvement,
the improvement has
huge overnight.
Has been so big, and being able to, everybody's body is how you feel in it.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what number you weigh.
But you feel
it's how
great.
You feel in your body.
So that's probably why I don't
you
care.
Feel so good.
Because I feel
and
good.
You feel like you need to put good things into your body.
Yes.
And this woman that I was meeting, she said the same thing. She was like, I just, here I am, busting my ass, because I know I have to go to the gym, because I am trying to get healthier as I age. And she's like, and then last night I drank, I don't even know how many cocktails, and it's so set me back. And so I think as most of our listeners are women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Like
I'm sure most of them can relate.
And it is there. So many of us have just gotten to a stage in our lives where we're like, I don't want to feel like this anymore.
Or did you not? And
even one day a week, even one day a month.
And I will, a lot of people won't admit it, but I'll admit it. Oftentimes, I would force myself to work out to either sweat the booze
out.
or sweat the calories, right? Whereas now, I've always been an assiduous outer because I want to keep muscles and all that, right? Besides that, so I'm always going to be like 2-3 times a week max. Okay, but I will do it. But because I'm assiduous at it, if a morning I get up and I'm like, I'm sore. Not that I don't drink. I'm sore and I don't feel like it. I'm not doing it because I feel good and
because
healthy.
You already
and
know
I'm not trying to get rid of anything.
And also, that you have consistency. That was another word that someone who was interviewing me recently, I came up with that word, and I love that I've recognized the consistency that has entered my life when alcohol was removed. I don't miss tennis clinics. I don't miss my workout sessions. I don't miss sleep unless, I'm traveling or there's something like the consistency. So it allows you that space on days where you're like, you know what? I'm not going to work out today because my body is tired.
And
the other thing that it has given me as someone who has yo-yoed with weight my whole life and had bulimia and all of those things. I mean, I mindfully, during my drinking days, looked at what I ate.
Of course.
To know how much I could drink.
Correct.
And of course,
the drinking was the priority.
Always a priority. But then the not eating meant the drink was going into my blood system twice as fast.
How many
I was
times
getting drunk twice as fast.
How many times?
And then I was so hungover the next day that I was eating triple the calories I would normally eat in order to try and make myself feel better. And it was just like, oh God.
And then
people ask me about, I have lost weight.
Right.
My weight has stabilized. And now a year and a half in, I am at what I consider a healthy, normal body weight for my body type and my height, right? I am there. I know that it wasn't some diet. It wasn't some crazy thing. It was the removal of alcohol, but the biggest part of that was the consistency back in my diet.
Right.
Because for me, binge drinking led to binge eating. Because when I was in a state of hangover on weekends, I would do the same thing that I would do with drink. I'm like, it's the weekend. I'm eating as much as I want. And I'm eating. And then I would, because you're doing anything to eat to make your body feel better. And no amount, that's where the whole greasy spoon breakfast came from. And eating the burgers and fried food to make you feel better. It doesn't make you feel better. Nothing makes you feel better. And so now the beauty that has come from me, who's had a tricky relationship with food since I was a teenager, is being able to say, I get to eat what I want. I'm not somebody that's ever going to now sit down and gorge a pizza to just soak up alcohol that's in my body. But when I want a fucking slice of pizza, I am eating it.
Oh my God.
Guilt-free.
I've never been so permissive about what I eat as I am now. Because I'm not worried about, I'm not worried about, well, this is adding to all the calories I just drank. You know what I'm saying? And one thing, and I don't know if it does that to everybody that quits drinking, but for me, and I'm sure there's parts of it is wisdom from age, but it happened too fast to change to just be that. Like literally not overnight, but damn close, is that fucking self-hatred. Like that looking at yourself, like picking at, and just like, is gone. I see what I see. Like the other day, like yesterday, I'm on the plane and I'm looking at my phone, and if there's a sheen from a glow from the window, your phone becomes a bloody mirror. And all I saw was that jiggly shit right here, right? Like the old 54, like jiggling. And I'm like, wow, right? And I looked at it, I was like, that is ugly. But not in It is what it is. Like, not in like yuck, like not a disdain. It's just like, wow, I got there.
Yes.
That I got there. I got there. Now I have jiggly skin because I'm 54, and that's what happens. Even if I slatter La Mer, my husband calls it La Merde, all over my face, right? But it almost came with a sense of empathy.
Yeah.
That skin and that face has been through a lot. Right. And it wasn't a hating it. It was just like, whoa, because sometimes I look at myself, I think I'm 27 because of the delusion.
Yes.
Right. And this was a moment of like clarity. You're like, wow, I'm not 27.
No.
But it was no more hating.
I see that too all the time.
Right.
And as somebody who is a performer, and I'm constantly having to look a certain way and look at myself before I go on stage. And
you see videos of yourself constantly.
And constantly. And other people taking videos of me. And I'm like, well, that was not a great angle that you shot. You know, famously, people, you have to have a skill to shoot singers.
Yeah. And
because
the most beautiful
the facial expressions that we contort our bodies and faces into to get notes out is not pretty. And if a photographer shoots you at the wrong moment,
you can look like a frog.
I look like freaking Quasimodo. I'm like, what the hell? Why did you shoot me from that angle while I'm trying to hit that note? It's like so terrible. But here's a couple of things that and again, different women think about things differently. We all have a different view of ourselves. And I had a lot of self-loathing that came from internally, but also came from society, of being called freckle face and you know, carrot top and all of those things, to get to a place where I'm absolutely now able to look at myself in the mirror and love myself, and consider myself to be a good, healthy, beautiful person, and it's the joy and security of being able to say that to yourself. That being said, there are many fucking factors at play here which can mess with that. One of them is when you have your phone and suddenly it turns to the front camera by
and then
mistake,
you see yourself
and you're holding it at an
like
angle,
this.
and you're like, Jesus!
And all you see is that turkey neck. It's pretty. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And that was the litmus test. That I was like, wow, I've definitely reached.
Okay, but I also want to say that Halle Berry doesn't look good from that angle.
That's
either.
What I'm saying. Nobody
Do you know
does.
what I mean? Nobody does.
No, nobody
then the
does.
other thing that's a big part of how you look when you're in any scenario is lighting. Do you know?
Yes.
I can look. I have 2 sets of lights in my bathroom, in our bathroom. There's upper lighting, like that's slightly behind you. And then I realize that I've just got bad lighting over my medicine cabinet.
Okay.
And when I turn those on, I look.
Nothing can fix you.
Nothing.
Right.
And I'm like, and I realized the other day when those lights weren't on, and the lights behind me were on, I'm like, oh my God, I look great.
Me.
Look at this. But when those lights are on, it accentuates
everything
down all the lighting and all the shadows. And I'm like, okay, it's the lighting. It's not me.
But see, I'm such a masochist that I have the same light in my bathroom. And that's the one I turn on to examine myself. Because I'm like, I need to see it. I need to see it. I need to face it, right?
Yeah, but we are both in a lot of hotel rooms.
But the difference is like, for me anyways, that self-hatred is just gone.
Yeah.
And I know like it's very Gen Z to love yourself, and we find them so annoying. Well, I do, right? But there's a thing about at least loving yourself. If you're just spreading it to everybody, that's annoying. But if you love yourself and keep it to yourself,
it's how you feel.
It makes you a much more workable person in the universe. You contribute more because you're not so preoccupied with hating yourself. Because once you like yourself, by the way, then you don't think about yourself that much. That's the whole thing.
Right.
When you hate yourself, that's all you. Anyways,
it
for
is.
me,
And when you look in the mirror,
when you hate yourself, that's all you think about is yourself. But when you like yourself, you move on and move on to the next thing.
And you know, another thing that obviously you have not experienced, but one of the things for me was how I was as a mother. And you know, I consider being a mother the most important thing in my life. I brought these human beings into the world, and I am 100% responsible for everything about them, their well-being until they're grown adults and ready to go out in the world. And it is also my favorite thing in the world. Like if you took everything else away from me and I still got to be a mother, I would feel complete and whole. And I love it. I love it so much. And then when now I'm able to look back and go, yes, those were mistakes, but I remember the days when I had a hangover and I knew I wasn't being
available,
the best mother.
right?
Those were the days I hated myself
The
so
most,
much, so much. And I remember one day, again, right towards the end of my drinking, right before I started my 75 hard, where I remember waking up and knowing that I was supposed to be, that I was, and I did do whatever it was I needed to do. And now I don't even remember what it was.
You did the stuff,
you
but
know
you
what I
weren't
remember?
there.
I remember crying in my bedroom.
Right.
With disgust at myself for me not being in top form today, me not being in top form.
And see, like we were saying, while you're hating yourself, you were just thinking about yourself. You're not available for your kids, but when you like yourself or love yourself, you move on, right? You're not gonna sit there and love yourself in your bed for 20 minutes, right? And by the way, I want to say, I'm gonna make sure that Mo, my dog, does not listen to this podcast because you said I was
Why
not.
Why does he not listen to it?
Because you just said I was not a mother, and Mo.
Sorry, you were a mother to Mo.
Okay, because Mo takes that shit very personally. Mo, she didn't mean it this way.
No,
you are a child.
Have you ever disappointed Mo by being hungover?
Oh, hell yes.
Okay.
Yes, in so many ways. He's so happy that I'm better and like fully shit.
There
were a couple of hikes where I was like, wait, which way I'm going?
Wait, Mo, you tell me which way to go.
Oh my God, we got lost a couple of times when I was not feeling my best. So, but no, I know what you mean, and it's true. Like when you self-hate, you're not there for anybody else.
No.
Right?
No.
So it's very freeing. And alcohol definitely did do that for me, to give it up.
Yeah. And the wellness thing, to circle back to the holiday time, vacations, is we go on vacations to feel good,
and then you come back, you're exhausted,
to connect and to have these great experiences. And what I realized in my own journey away from alcohol was how those experiences of going on vacation were being muted,
of course,
by alcohol. We're stealing days. I remember thinking on a beach in Turks and Caicos, going, I am in paradise, and I have made myself sick in paradise.
That sucks. Or coming back home and needing a holiday because you're so exhausted from like just drinking all the time, right?
Yeah. No, and so, the takeaways from the travel and the vacation, I'm definitely contacting the resort and telling them to get me.
100%.
And then I think, more of us talking about asking for non-alcoholic options and zero proof options.
Right.
I'm definitely going to, every time on a plane now, I'm going to say something.
You're right. I'm going to do that too. And it's funny. So that makes me think of what I told you earlier today. So when I came home this morning, because I flew late last night, Brooks was like, hey, you should have seen that on the local news today. It was saying that restaurants are struggling and having a lot of loss of revenues because people aren't drinking as much, right? So I said to Brooks, fuck, I'm so happy they're saying that, so that maybe it'll make more restaurants like Left Bank, shout out Left Bank, to carry non-alcoholic wine. Left Banks in Western Vermont, they do. And good ones, right?
Oh, good.
And then the same couple of hours later, Brooks, all proud, comes in the kitchen. He's like, hey. I'm like, yes. He's like, there's a study that it's an old study, but they verified it and now it's back out. And people that drink one glass of wine a day live 25% longer.
Oh, so, for God's sake, that's been debunked so many times.
So I told him, I was like, it was debunked so many times because, they realized that the people that were drinking the wine were higher education. They were eating organic food. They were working out. They were, they were doing a lot of things.
They were in healthy relationships.
Right. They're comparing these people to
and they were not binge drinking.
Right. And they were not obese and they're like all that shit, right? Yeah. So they were their lifestyle was a contraindication to the poison they were putting in their body. But I told Brooks, I was like, this study is so old, it's been debunked so many times. I was like, how interesting that they're putting it out today, the same day that you're telling me on the local news, they're saying restaurants are struggling because people are drinking less.
Yeah.
It's a knee-jerk reaction of the alcohol lobby in our country.
Yeah.
And I think vacation, obviously they didn't sit around a table and say, hey, how can we sell more alcohol? Let's link it to vacation. I don't think that. But on vacation resorts and things like that, they start seeing the revenues they get from alcohol. So it's easy to link the two. Posters,
Yes.
publicity. And it's been marketed in our minds to correlate being on a holiday with getting wasted.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it. It wasn't a mistake. It's not like people made this horrible mistake someone's making money out of this association.
Yes.
Okay. And it's
Look,
been going on
there's
for a long
no
time.
denying it. There is no denying that the lobbying to support big alcohol is
getting stronger because now they're losing
more
money.
And more money going into it.
Yeah.
And look, I was speaking to I think it was Hannah, the Hannah Delaney from Boisson about this. It's like we're not saying, and we're not saying this either. We're not saying the world has to be alcohol free.
No, we're just saying, give me my option
let
too.
Let us have the option.
Correct.
And there's no question that every company who makes alcoholic beverages is paying attention to the fact that
George Clooney is coming
down.
out with one
He
now.
did already. It's out.
Oh, I didn't
It's
know
out.
that.
His new
Is it a tequila with no booze in it?
I think,
or is it a wine?
And it's a beer.
Oh, it's
There's
a beer. You're right. It's a beer.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, George.
Listen, there's so many people making this choice. I watched a fabulous interview the other day with Zach Braff. Do you know the actor Zach Braff?
Yes, of course, yeah.
From Scrubs and many other things. But he talked about, so I was like, that's me.
Wait, he doesn't drink?
That he doesn't drink.
I did not know that.
He doesn't drink. And he said, I wasn't the
a fall-over
classic
drunk
alcoholic.
Right.
I wasn't the person who was drinking on set and drinking in my
Right.
He's like, no, but I was a binge drinker. So
Got
I was
it.
doing no drinking,
and
being
then
focused,
falling
blah, 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 and then drinking too much. And he said,
and feeling
it
crappy.
got to, I just had to go through it, right? There was no shortcut to me either, figuring out that I was this kind of drinker that once I started, I couldn't stop.
Right.
He said that's what it was for him. And the identifying of that, like identifying that that's who I am as a drinker. And when you've had enough experiences where you're sick or embarrassed or whatever it is that you've done because you drank too much, you get to a point in your life, you're like, okay, I've learned, who knows how many lessons you have to experience in order to make the choice, but identifying it, who you are as a drinker, and then taking the action.
And because the difficult thing for drinkers that are my kind of drinker is because there's no being sick.
Yeah.
There's no acting out.
Yeah.
There's no,
you're just a constant.
You're just a constant, and you think about it all the time, and your consumption creeps up, right? Like I was at a bottle and a half, but I'd started a bottle. Before that was 2 glasses a day. Like, so, and I'm saying that because some people that drink daily but don't have major hangovers or not sick or they've never done something stupid, might dilute themselves like I did for a long time in thinking, I'm fine.
Yes.
You're still drinking a shit ton of poison.
Yes.
And when you quit, you think you're fine, but when you quit, and if you quit long enough, you're like, oh, wow. I didn't know that I was anxious. I didn't know I was reactive. I didn't know I hated myself. Like all these things, I didn't think so until
and you can't know it until you do it.
Right.
And the other, what you just made me think of too, for me, in my excusing my drinking habits for basically 30 years. I mean, it wasn't 30 years. Drinking in my 20s and 30s.
A long time,
not that
decades.
It wasn't a problem. I didn't have anybody to answer to. I was, and also I bounced back. I bounced back from a hangover.
As you do when you're 20, you bounce back a heroin binge.
But in my 40s, when I, and I've said this, my aunt said it so eloquently many years ago. She said, if you've asked yourself the question, should I quit drinking or should I cut back? The answer is automatically yes. If you've asked the question, the answer is never no.
Right. No.
It's like, no,
never.
I'm absolutely fine drinking this much. For me, I was able to, because I have had such close exposure to real alcoholics.
So you were much better.
I used to look and go, well, I'm not that.
Me. Correct.
which means I don't have a problem. And I think so many of us have done that. It's like, well,
absolutely.
I've never lost a job.
That's
I've never
right.
forgotten to pick up my kids.
Nobody's ever
I've
told me
never
to quit
crashed my
drinking.
car.
Right.
I've never done, so you think I've never done any of those things, which means I am fine.
I'm fine.
But when you actually take the society out of it or the comparison to others out of it and look at yourself, which is what I did when I started 75 Hard.
Right.
I looked at myself and I thought, okay, I'm shit sick of hangovers being this bad.
Right.
And I need to reset my body.
And also, like, for me, one of the things is at some point I was like, the tail's wagging the dog here, right?
Yeah.
Like, no sick, no major. I had hangovers sometimes, but not often.
Yeah.
But when you do have a hangover, you feel off and you're like, oh man, I'm not drinking today. And you say that at 8 o'clock and at noon you're having a mimosa, right?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, who's wagging who in this scenario?
Yeah.
It wasn't me, right? So,
No.
and I didn't like that feeling too much either. So like you said, you need to, when you think about alcohol, that should be your red flag.
Yeah.
When you're thinking about it, that should be your red flag. And then identify where you fall.
Yeah.
Do you want to do something about it or not?
Or not. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And that is a big realization that a lot of people are now coming to.
Right.
That we weren't thinking about it before.
And I think also like the dog, the tail wagging the dog thing, I think a lot of us are realizing,
yeah,
I drink and it's not always my decision.
Yes.
I just do.
Yes.
Because either my body wants it or my brain needs it.
Or I'm on autopilot.
I'm on autopilot because it says,
because it's Friday at 5 o'clock.
That's right.
Guess what
or
happens?
I'm going to, that's right. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just.
And believe you me, I lived in that world for so long.
And like you said earlier, and I like that, we're not prophesizing. We're not thinking people should quit drinking. People can do what the bloody hell they want, as far as I'm concerned. But there's a lot of people like us that like the ritual and like the taste, and we would like to have offerings.
Yes.
Because it shouldn't be that complicated.
Listen, and for every single person, and we've had plenty of them in the last 13 episodes, who have reached out to say, you made me think about it.
Right.
You made me think about wanting to do it. Or you tipped me over the edge. You ladies talking about it have inspired me to do it. That, I mean, that and making. One of my friends the other day was like, I almost had to pull my car over because I thought I was going to pee my pants. But well, we're going to wrap it up for today. We're going on vacation. I'm going on vacation.
You're so lucky.
Not sorry. But for everyone out there who's listening, we are so grateful. We're building this community one episode at a time, and it's because you're listening that we keep going. And thank you for listening. Keep listening, share, send us your comments and questions, because we really do get such great insight from you and your questions about how we have handled things. You have your call to action, which is whenever you're going out to dinner and you're in a restaurant, either prepare to bring your own stuff or request that they carry your favorite brand, especially if it's your local,
Absolutely. And by the way, it's not a favor. You're paying for the stuff and good money, because as we know, non-alcoholic beverages, especially beers and wines, cost a little bit more money because you have an extra step to do to make it well, right?
Yeah.
So you're not asking for charity.
No, absolutely. And another shout out to Raising the Bar, the 0 proof cocktail kit, which you can get every week. Every month. Every month. It would be a lot every week.
Yes.
But thank you. Thank you for listening. I am Maxine. I'm happy alcohol free.
I'm Isabelle. I'm happy as fuck. And enjoy the spring break. Don't burn your bra. It's not worth it. And try to get NA beer as much as you can.
Yeah. And we will see you on the next episode. Thank you for listening.
Bye.